Have you ever just wanted something that is really easy to make, only includes one pan and some ground beef? Well, you are in the right place because today I'm bringing you 12 of the best ground beef recipes, and they pretty much only include one pan. Hey y'all, I'm Sammy and welcome to my kitchen. Now let's jump right into today's video. Come on, let's go. All right, y'all, we are starting this one out with a bang with some crack burgers. Y'all, these are so addictive, but absolutely delicious. Perfect for a summer evening for supper. So starting out, I've got 2 pounds of ground beef in my bowl. I'm going to take 2 cups of shredded cheddar cheese, along with 1 cup of sour cream and 1 package of the dry Hidden Valley Ranch, or as you can see in my case, I use the Great Value Ranch seasoning, and then 1 whole container. I think it's 2.5 ounces of the real bacon pieces. Then you dump all that cheese in there, and now we're going to season it up with some, y'all guessed it, Badia Complete, some garlic powder and onion powder, and also some salt and pepper. Just a little bit of salt because you've got the bacon and the cheese in there that's got the salt in it. We're also going to throw in a little bit of this adobo seasoning, and we're going to use the best tool that God ever gave you, which is our hands. But trust me, you don't want to over mix this because you don't want them burger patties to be tough. Then I just put them into about a 1/4 pound patty each, and always make sure you put your dimple in the middle of your patty right there. Just helps with it shrinking too much, and it actually does keep the toppings on the burger better. So now we'll just put them into a large skillet and cook them until they are nice and golden brown on both sides, which typically takes about 5 to 6 minutes on each side. If you like your burgers a little bit medium, just cook them less. But as you can see here, when I'm flipping them, you can see that nice and golden brown color. And that is exactly what you want. Say hi to Peppy. He's peeping out the corner. But now that I got all of those burgers browned up, we're just going to go ahead and serve them however you want. I just put a little bit of mayonnaise, lettuce, and tomato on mine. Gosh, y'all, these are the best. And I served them up with a side of tots. Can't go wrong with that. Next up of my top 5 are these stuffed peppers, and let me tell y'all something, they are absolutely amazing. So good. And you can even make these in a crock pot instead of putting them in your oven. So I thought I'd throw that out there a little bit. So into our skillet, I've got 1 pound of lean ground beef. We're going to season that up with some Badia Complete and some chili powder, about a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half of each, along with some black pepper and some salt. Those are each about a teaspoon as well. Now you could always cut down the salt if you needed to, but I just gave that a little bit of a mix through. Poured in about a 1/2 cup, a 1/4 cup of chopped onions and about 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. We'll give that a nice stir together. Now we're going to add in 8 ounces of tomato sauce. If you have home canned or any other kind that you like, please feel free to dump that in there, along with 2 cups of cooked I did use the instant rice on this just so I could get it done faster, but 2 cups of the white instant rice cooked. Then while that was sitting there simmering, I went ahead and cut and de-seeded all of my peppers. I just cut them in half. That way they would lay flat. I'm going to fill every one of these up to the top, all the way up to the top, and then we're just going to top them with some cheese. Now, if you don't like your peppers to have a crunch on them, go ahead and put them in the oven and let them cook a little bit first, and then put them into a 350-degree oven. Once you have the cheese on them, cook these for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then you can put it on broil and let that cheese get nice and golden brown and delicious. Y'all must give this one a try. So good. Now we're rolling right along with a smash burger tater skillet. Y'all know this one is the absolute favorite of the house because my boys tore this one up. So starting out, I cut up 3 large russet potatoes just into some cubes. Season that with some paprika, garlic and onion powder and some pepper. Put that in some olive oil, tossed that, and cooked it at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes. Then into a skillet, I took 2 pounds of lean ground beef and literally smashed it into the bottom right there. Coated that with some, sprinkled, y'all know me, with some salt and pepper. And then we're going to take this Kinder's caramelized onion butter, which is the star of the show, y'all. If y'all have never tried it, definitely give it a try. So I seasoned that very liberally with some of that caramelized onion butter. Let that get a good sear on the back side, and that took about 10 minutes. And then I tried to honestly flip it at once. That didn't work. So that's why I cut it into quarters. And then I let it do the same thing on the other side. Just give that a good sear. And then I took my little meat chopper right here and just cut right into it, leaving the chunks really big. Now, by all means, if you want to just keep it easy, just brown up your burger. It'll be just fine. But I do like the flavor that you get when you get that caramelization on the meat. Then I took our taters that we had already cooked, dumped those right in there, gave it a good old mix through, and simple peasy, cheesy squeezy on here. Dumped 2 cups of shredded cheddar cheese on the top, popped it into the broiler for about 4 to 5 minutes, and supper was ready, y'all. This was so good. And I just drizzled a little bit of burger sauce on there with just mayonnaise, ketchup, a little bit of mustard, and some sweet relish. Mix it together. So good on this. So I did top it with that and a little bit of sesame seeds for some crunch, because, you know, burgers, sesame seeds, buns, it goes great together. But this was absolutely amazing. Moving right along into another one of our favorites, that's why it's in the top 5, is the Korean beef and rice. You cannot go wrong with this one. And plus, if you don't want to keep the rice separate, go ahead and boil it and just dump that right on into your Korean beef. It'll work just fine. I have 2 pounds of ground beef that I just flavored with a little bit of salt and pepper, and I went ahead and smashed that all up and got it nice and brown. Now we're going to add in about 2 tablespoons of garlic, because y'all know I like to keep the vampires away. A 1/4 cup of light brown sugar goes into that pan, along with a 1/4 cup of soy sauce. Now, if you wanted to double this, please feel free to do so. I have the original recipes always linked in my description box below. But once you have everything in there, you'll give that a good stir together before you put in your 2 teaspoons of toasted sesame oil. This is so important in this because it makes it. And then we also added in 2 teaspoons of ground ginger paste. If you have fresh ginger, you could do that, but the ground ginger just blends so much better in this. Then we'll let it simmer. And once it's simmered for about 5 minutes, I decided to add about a tablespoon of butter to it, just because, you know, butter makes everything better. Just kind of like more cheese, mo better. Mo cheese, mo better. So here I am serving it over top of that rice with some green onions and sesame seeds, along with some steamed broccoli. And y'all, this was so good and so filling. Definitely give it a try. And now we're going to make probably the #1 taco dish ever, which is the taco helper skillet. It's homemade taco hamburger helper, basically. Into our skillet, we have 1 pound of ground beef with 1 medium diced up onions. We're going to season it up with some Kinders all-purpose. So good. And there's that caramelized onion butter again. Definitely try those 2 if you don't have it. And of course, y'all, I got to go back to my original Badilla Complete, along with some salt and pepper. This is all seasoned to taste, but like I said, I will have the original recipe linked down below. But typically, it's about a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of each. Once you have that browned, you will dump in 1 entire package of mild taco seasoning. Then about 2 tablespoons of garlic, or less, however much or however little you want. 1 undrained can of mild rotel, 1.5 cups of milk, and then 1.5 cups of beef broth. Then you'll add in 2 cups of the spiral noodles, or whatever pasta you wanted to use. But I do love the rotini noodles, and penne would also be good in this. You'll let that come to a simmer. Once it's simmering, you'll put that lid on for about 15 to 20 minutes. Then you will see that almost all of that liquid has gone out of the skillet. We're going to come in with about 1/2 cup of cream to about 3/4 of a cup. Then we'll add in 2 cups of shredded cheddar, or if you have a taco cheese, please feel free to add that in as well. I just had cheddar on hand and it worked brilliantly. You'll give that a good old stir until it is nice and creamy, just like this. And y'all, to serve it up, just put some cheese on there with some sour cream, some taco sauce, maybe some fresh cilantro. You could even do crushed up Doritos on top of this to give it a little bit of crunch. It is mouth-watering, let me tell you. It is so good, and it's deliciousness on a plate. Next up, we are going to make a new one to us as well, which is a beefy enchilada tortellini skillet. I know that's a mouthful, but trust me, your mouth is going to be watering with this one. It is so yummy. Into an oven-safe skillet, I've got 1 pound of ground beef, 1 medium onion diced up, and about a teaspoon of salt and pepper each. We'll go ahead and just mash that burger on down just until it gets browned on up. Once it's browned, I drained out all the grease. If there is any, we're going to add in 1 teaspoon of cilantro, 1 teaspoon of chili powder. Actually, it's 2 teaspoons of chili powder, 2 teaspoons of cumin, a tablespoon or 2 of minced up garlic. We'll give that a nice stir together just to make sure everything is well mixed. Then we're going to throw in 1 can of mild rotel, 1 can of mild enchilada sauce, and a large, I think it's a 19-ounce bag of tortellini right on in there. Yes, completely frozen. It will cook down, and it's going to absorb in all of those flavors. No extra liquid is needed, y'all. This one is phenomenal. Once you have it all in there and everything's coated, you put that lid on for about 10 to 15 minutes. Then it is ready to stir together. You can check this periodically just to make sure that tortellini don't stick to the bottom of that skillet, but I didn't have no issues. Once that has cooked its full 15 minutes, you go ahead and add about 1 to 2 cups of cheese. Shredded mozzarella is preferred. Right on top of that, put that lid back on top of that skillet. Let that mozzarella just melt all over this delicious tortellini. I cannot tell y'all how much this was. Oh, so good, y'all. So good. And definitely perfect for a Taco Tuesday if you're looking for something different. We served ours up with some sour cream and just some more cilantro on top, and this was spectacular, y'all. If you need something different and you don't know what to make, go ahead and make this one. I promise you, you won't be disappointed. And by the way, all the recipes are down below in my description box. Next up, we're going to make a favorite of ours, which is a Philly cheesesteak pasta skillet. Looks like a lot of ingredients, but I promise you it's not. Into your skillet, you'll start off with 1 pound of lean ground beef, 1 cup of diced up green peppers, and onion. I just go ahead and mix that all together and get it all nice and browned up, and make sure those peppers and onions are tender. Then we'll add in 1 teaspoon of paprika, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder and onion powder, and then we're also going to add in a half a teaspoon of oregano. I use the dried. It's perfectly fine. If you have fresh, go ahead and use it. Give that a nice stir together, and then add in 2 tablespoons of your favorite steak sauce. Of course, I'm using A1. 1 cup of beef broth, 1 whole can of tomato sauce. I believe that was a 15-ounce can, and then 1 cup of milk. I will have the recipe down below if you want to make this. Trust me, you're going to want to make it. And then 2 cups of dried pasta. I just use the cavatelli pasta. It's the little spiral pasta. It's probably our absolute favorite pasta to use when I'm doing one skillet meals. That cooks for about 10 to 15 minutes until those noodles are tender. Then we're going to stir in 1 cup of shredded mozzarella cheese into that mix. And you just want to make sure you get that well mixed in there to where you see that cheese pull throughout. Oh, y'all, this one is delicious. I did add in a tablespoon of steak seasoning as well. I forgot to show that on here. Then you'll take your other cup of shredded mozzarella cheese. You could even use provolone cheese if you have that. But you just set that lid back on top of it and let that cheese melt over the top. And y'all, this was seriously deliciousness, mouth-watering yumminess in a bowl. I had to put all those words in there because that is what it is. Trust me on this. Oh, it is so good, y'all. I really hope you'll give this one a try. And if you try it, let me know down below. Next up, we're going to make one of our favorites, which is a cheesy taco tater skillet. Cannot get any easier than this, y'all. We love us some tacos, anything. And that's why you're seeing a second taco recipe. To cut the cooking time down in half, I went ahead and boiled up these. I had a russet potato and some sweet potatoes with this one, and I just boiled them for about 5 minutes just to kind of tender them up just a little. We're going to drizzle some avocado oil right over the top, and then we're going to use this go-to blend, which is just salt, pepper, and garlic right over the top of those. Give that a nice stir together. Those go into a 400-degree air fryer for about 20 minutes until they are nice and crispy, but very soft and fluffy on the inside. Now we're going to use 1 pound of my butcher box beef. Y'all, that is seriously the best stuff ever. I will have my code in the bottom if you're looking for some great grass-fed organic beef. Now, once we have that on there, I just added some salt and pepper and then onion powder and garlic powder right to that mix. We're going to go ahead and try to get that mushed up like you could see I did, but it was a little bit frozen. Then I added in a 1/2 cup of diced up onions and about a tablespoon or so of garlic. We'll give that a nice stir together just to make sure everything is well combined, and we're going to add in 1 packet of whatever taco seasoning you want. I just used the Taco Bell mild for this dish. You'll give that another good stir together because you want to make sure that ground beef is mixed up very well. Then we'll add in a 1/2 cup of water to that. Stir it once again before you add in your air fryer taters that are nice and crispy. I just love cooking taters in the air fryer if y'all haven't noticed. Give that a nice stir together yet again. And then my favorite part ever is the cheese. Y'all know that because like I said, more cheese, more better. Right over the top with 1 cup of cheese or 2, however you want it. If you want it cheesy, add extra because y'all know we love cheesy over here. But I did a blend of Colby Jack and sharp cheddar on this one. I did go ahead and stick this one in the oven just for a little bit under the broiler for just a few minutes until that cheese was nice and melted through. We served ours with some sour cream and taco sauce and some extra cilantro on top just to make it even more delicious than it already was. I don't know if you could ever get any easier than this, but y'all, seriously, give it a try. And if you're new here, I would love to have you click that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up, and make sure your notifications are set to all because I would love to have you as part of my YouTube family. And next, we're going to make another taco skillet, but this is a taco rice skillet and it is absolutely delicious. Into your oven-safe skillet, we're going to go ahead with 1 pound of ground beef and just keeping it simple here with some salt and pepper, probably around a teaspoon each. We're going to throw in 1 small diced up onion and get that hamburger well browned through. Add in 1 can of undrained Rotel tomatoes. I just used the Great Value brand. 1 16-ounce can of tomato sauce. I think that is a 16-ounce can of beef broth and about a tablespoon of garlic, along with 1 packet of taco seasoning and 1 cup of uncooked, it's not the instant rice, 1 cup of long grain white rice. You do not want to use the instant rice because it would cook too quickly. But we just go ahead and put that lid on it once we get it stirred and let that rice cook down for about 20 to 25 minutes. And y'all can see right here, all that liquid has absorbed. That rice is cooked perfectly. And this is nothing but flavor, town, city, state, whatever you want to call it. It is so good. I went ahead and shredded up 1 block of the sharp cheddar cheese right here. And we're going to just go ahead and put all of that right on top. Then we will pop it into the broiler for just a little bit to let that cheese get nice and golden brown and bubbly. Because y'all know me, I love to have that goldenness right on the top of it. But y'all, this one, oh, it was so yummy. I know I have said that a gazillion times in this video, but I can't help it. I'm speaking the truth here, y'all. Definitely give this one a try. You can't get much easier than this. You could even put it into like a wrap if you want to do like some fajita chicken or steak with this would be amazing. So we are starting out today's video with some bacon cheeseburger gnocchi. Y'all, this one is a 10 out of 10. You have to try it. Into a large skillet, I have one medium onion that has been diced up. I'm just breaking that up a little bit with my spoon here. Then we're going to add in either a pound to a pound and a half of ground beef. Mine was right in between that, so I just went ahead and put that on in there. I use a very lean ground beef. That is just what we prefer, but you can use whatever you want. We're going to season that up with some cowboy butter by Kinder's. I'm going to use about a teaspoon of that, but if you don't have it, you could always use salt, pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder. Next up, I'm going to add in a teaspoon of the caramelized onion butter and a teaspoon of the buttery garlic and herb. These are just my favorite flavor combinations, but like I said, please feel free to use whatever you want. Then I'm going to use a half a teaspoon of salt and a half a teaspoon of black pepper. Also, a half a teaspoon of beef bouillon. I'm just eyeballing these. By all means, you can use a measure if you want to. Once you have your seasonings in there, you're just going to take your little meat chopper or a wooden spatula, whatever you want, it's fine. We're going to break that on up and cook it on down until we no longer see any pink in that meat. If you had a fattier ground beef, this would be the point where you would drain it out, or you could use a paper towel and kind of get all of that grease out of there as well. Once you have that drained, you'll add in 2 tablespoons of minced garlic, 1 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. Then we're going to add in a half a cup of beef broth or chicken. I had chicken broth open, that's what I used. There was no sense in wasting it. A half a cup of heavy whipping cream. Then you're going to take in a package of your mini gnocchi. That's what I prefer, but you could use the regular package of the regular size gnocchi. Now these are kind of just dried potato pasta is what it is. So you'll see that you'll have some clumps in there, and I like to try to break it apart if I can by my hands as I'm putting it into the skillet. But sometimes it don't always work like you see right there, and I have to break it apart. But sometimes I can just smush it together in the package too, and that works to break it up. So once you have all your gnocchi in there, you'll just go ahead and give that a nice stir together just to make sure it's all well combined. And y'all, I should have done this before I stirred it, but I forgot about the bacon, so I'm going to go ahead and throw that on in there. I added in about a half a cup of cooked chopped bacon. I'm just using the bacon bits. It's the real bacon bits. So if you have those, you can use those, or you could cook about 6 to 7 slices of bacon and then just chop that up and put it on in. I did save some for the top though. So give that a nice stir together, and you can see that it's already kind of thickening up, but you need to cook those gnocchis. So you'll put that lid on the skillet once it comes up to a boil and let that cook for about 5 to 10 minutes. You just need to test your gnocchi out and see if it's tender. So while that is cooking on down, I went ahead and grated up this block of extra sharp cheddar cheese. You could use Colby Jack if you want to. I love extra sharp cheddar, so that's what I'm using. Once that time is up, you go ahead and give it a little bit of a stir. Test your gnocchi before you add in a cup of the shredded cheese. Once you have that cup in there, you'll go ahead and stir that in, hence the bacon cheeseburger. Once you have that stirred up and it's all nice and creamy, you will put the rest of that cheese on top. Now, y'all know me, mo cheese, mo better. If you don't like cheese, you can lessen the cheese by all means. I'm cooking for my family and you cook for yours, so you cook however they like it or however you prefer it. You don't have to copycat me. I'm just giving you ideas and inspiration here. That's all I'm doing. So now that we've put that last layer of cheese on the top, I'm just being Miss Perfectionist over here, making sure that every little spot has some cheese on it. You know what I mean? I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle in about another quarter of a cup of the bacon bits right over the top, y'all. Pop that lid on it and let that residual heat cook that cheese or melt that cheese on down. And would you look at this? Does that just not look like perfection and just absolute deliciousness? It's time to serve this on up, and I'm just going to get me a big old scoop. Now, it will set up and get a little bit thicker if you want it, but I love it like this. So when I serve it, I just put a little bit of more cheese on top with some parsley. Y'all, this is so good. It is so hearty, and it's perfect on a busy weeknight because it's only one skillet, 1 pound of ground beef, and a few other simple ingredients, and you've got supper ready and made in a jiffy. And promise you, your family is going to love it because mine does. I could eat this multiple times a week. Next up, let's make a ground beef stir fry. Now, I've never made a ground beef stir fry before. I've made a chicken stir fry and everything else, but we're going to make ground beef. So into a large skillet, I got 1 large onion that I rough chopped. You can see my little sous chefs there in the corner. They're always around their mama. I'm using 2 pounds of lean ground beef. I'm going to put those right into the skillet. Now I'm going to break that up a little bit because them onions and everything are, rather large in there because where they're just rough chopped. You want to be able to see your veggies in the stir fry. So that's why I'm just doing everything rough chopped. Now we're going to season that up with about a teaspoon of ground black pepper, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, and then 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. You gotta have the garlic powder. I did not put any salt in here because we're going to put a stir fry sauce in there, so you don't want to do that. And you can also add soy sauce if you want. That's why you don't want any more extra salt because it's going to have plenty of sodium. Trust me on this. Now we're going to add in about 3 teaspoons of the ground ginger paste. Give that a nice stir together, and we're going to cook this ground beef until you can no longer see pink in it and that those onions are a little bit tender. Now, once that is browned up, as you can see right here, you want to make sure you get all the grease out of that. So I usually just scoot mine to the side if there is any, but since I used a lean ground beef, I don't have any. So you cut up about 7 mini sweet peppers here, and I just rough chopped them as well. Put those on in the skillet and kind of stirred that together. That way I don't have a big old pile of vegetables trying to stir it together, as you see here in a minute. I was like, let me just throw the rest of the stuff in here. So there goes the chopped broccoli, in goes the chopped zucchini. Now this was about a cup to a cup and a half each of veggies. And then the same thing for the frozen green beans. Now I'm trying to stir all this together, and I did have some stuff fall out, as you can see right there. I tried to save it though. You'll just give this a nice stir together just to make sure everything is, well combined and all those vegetables are nice and just in there together and getting happy. Pop that lid on it, let it cook for about 15 minutes. That way those vegetables get a little bit tender, and then you're going to get some stir fry sauce of any kind. You can use store brand, the name brand. I just have the Kiko Man stir fry sauce on hand, and I'm going to put about half that bottle in there, and I'm going to go ahead and stir that together. That way that flavor gets in there and everything starts to take on the flavor and everything gets happy and married together in that skillet. And I'm going to tell you what, the smell of this, oh my goodness. I love anything that has a lot of vegetables in it because I love me some veggies, but this one was good, y'all. Set that lid on the top of it and let it cook for about another 10 minutes just until those vegetables are nice and tender. To finish it off, I'm going to use some toasted sesame oil right over the top, probably about a teaspoon drizzled over the top. And we'll stir it together just to make sure that everything is happy in there and coated in that flavor, y'all. I cannot tell you about the flavor profile of this. If you're wanting something different, this is definitely one you have to try. Set that lid on it for about another 5 minutes and just let that cook down. You will see you will have a lot of sauce in there, and that's perfect because I just served mine over some of that instant ready rice that comes in the packet by Uncle Ben's. I use the Walmart brand, as y'all saw in the picture before I started cooking this. To me, it tastes just the same and it is just as good. So that's what I served over mine. Put some parsley and some white sesame seeds over the top just to make it look pretty, y'all, because you eat with your eyes. And I also drizzled it with a little bit of soy sauce on the top just to give it that extra salt if it needed it. But does that just not look pretty? And I'm going to tell you something. The taste of it, 10 out of 10, y'all. If you're looking for something good to have at home that's easy peasy, lemon squeezy, definitely give this ground beef stir fry a try for your family. It's a good way to get vegetables in, and it takes on the flavor of everything else, so they can't fuss about it. Now, let's make a guilty pleasure here with this stick of butter tortellini. Whoo, y'all. Oh my Lord, this was yummy. So into a large skillet, I have got 1 pound of lean ground beef, We're going to season that up with about a half a teaspoon of salt and pepper. Next up, we're just going to break that apart into your skillet just to make sure that salt and pepper gets mixed up in here well, and you cook it till you no longer see any pink. Once that is done, we're going to drain any grease, if any, and I use the paper towel method, so I just plop that right in that pan and scoop up all that grease with that paper towel. It's the easiest way to get it all out. Now that that ground beef is done, we're going to go ahead and transfer that to a bowl so we can get the sauce made. I love one pan meals, and what makes it even better is that it's just 1 pound of ground beef, or 2 if you've got hungry men in your house like I do. Once you have that skillet emptied with that ground beef, here comes the stick of butter. You could always lessen that if you want to. You could call it half a stick of butter tortellini, but I'm going to do it my way, and I will have the recipe listed down below for y'all. This is just something I've come up with, and it's amazing. Along with that stick of butter, you're going to put in 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. Now, I said 1 to 2 in my recipe, but y'all know me. I like to keep them vampires away, so that's why I'm doing the 2 tablespoons. You'll let that cook on down until that butter's melted and that garlic is smelling fragrant. Then you're going to add in 1 teaspoon of Kinder's buttery garlic and herb, 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning right here, y'all. Or if you want to add a little more, that's fine. Next up, we're going to add in the chicken broth. Now, the recipe, you could use chicken broth or beef broth, whatever you got on hand. But like I said, this week I had chicken broth open, so that's what I'm using. And I'm going to add in 1.5 cups of chicken broth right into that skillet. So there's 1 cup. And then I'm just going to eyeball 1/2 cup and dump that right on in. Then we're going to add in 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. I love heavy whipping cream, y'all. It makes so many good recipes, and the sauce this makes is indulgent. It's just, like I said, sinful. You'll want to stir everything together to make sure you got that all the seasonings mixed in. Then you're going to take 4 ounces of a whipped cream cheese. If you don't have whipped cream cheese, by all means, just go ahead and melt down a block of cream cheese and just use 4 ounces of it. I'm just going to stir this together, and I realized that this little spatula thing right here was not working for me. Excuse me, my voice is wanting to crack. So I grabbed my little handy dandy whisk right here, and I just whisk right on through that cream cheese. And I think that's why they said to use a whipped one, so it kind of melts and incorporates better. Like I said, you could always throw 4 ounces of a cream cheese block in there, and it's going to be just fine. Now, I'm using the Barilla, the little mini tortellini here that are dried. It's shelf stable. Those are the kind that I like to buy. And I just dumped that on in. I think it was a 24-ounce bag, if I'm not mistaken. So you go ahead and dump all of that in. It could have been a 12-ounce bag, honestly, but since they're tiny. Either way, it makes plenty. I showed y'all the ounces on the screen. Pop that lid on the skillet and let that cook for about 10 to 15 minutes until those tortellini are nice and tender. Now, you might have to try one to test it out, which I did. And y'all can see how thick that sauce has gotten just because of that tortellini cooking down in it. Oh, y'all, this was so good. Now we're going to add in 4 ounces of a grated Parmesan cheese, 1 teaspoon of, it called for basil, but I had the Italian herbs that were dried, so that's what I used. And I just put that on in there and give that a nice stir together to where all of that cheese gets so ooey gooey in here. I'm going to show you here in a minute. We're going to get nice and close up and personal to this so y'all can see it. Because you got to. Now we're going to add in that ground beef to the mixture. And this is where we're going to look at that cheese. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Get ready for the close-up, y'all. Would y'all just look at this? Oh, this was like melt in your mouth. Heavenly. Just so rich and buttery. And it's so good. So, so good. Okay. Back to normal, y'all. We're going to go ahead and just make sure everything is well incorporated. Once it is, if it looks like it needs a little bit of thinning out, you can add another 1/2 cup of heavy cream to the mix just to make it a little bit more saucy like you see right here, because it will thicken up some more just because of everything that is in there. But y'all, you seriously cannot go wrong with this one. This one will definitely be in my cookbook. I'm trying to get enough money together saved so I can get those published, so I can create those for y'all. But it takes money to be able to do that, and right now that is very tight for me. But I'm getting there, promise. And I just served this up with some garlic sticks and some more of those Italian herbs or parsley or basil, whatever you got. But y'all, this was seriously so good, and it is definitely going to be on my food rotation because everybody loved it. I mean, you can't go wrong with this. This was just an indulgent meal, and it is so good. It melts in your mouth. Everything was just so, so good. All right, y'all, that is it for today's video. I truly hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you give me thumbs ups, leave me some comments down below, and think about hitting that red subscribe button and becoming part of my YouTube family. I would absolutely love to have y'all. Plus, it's free, so you're not out anything except for gaining some delicious recipes. If you are in need of prayer, please let me know down below, and I would be honored to pray for you all. But until next time, from my heart to yours, God bless. Bye.